Well, depending on your age, American Pie might remind you of a song from the 70s or a movie from the 90s.
The Don McLean song talked about the day the music died. That day was almost 50 years ago when a plane crashed in Iowa, killing Buddy Holly, the Big Bopper, and Ritchie Valens. It was a tragedy, of course, but it was also an unusual opportunity for a 15-year-old kid in Fargo.
All of my life I've been waiting.
It was called the Winter Dance Party, a 3-week tour through the Midwest. One of the stops, Clear Lake, Iowa. This is the actual stage of the Surf Ballroom where Buddy Holly, the Big Bopper, and Ritchie Valens played their very last show. Some say this old ballroom is haunted still by the last rockabilly licks of Buddy Holly.
Oh, Peggy.
Nah, but kids came from all over to catch that show.
I was interested in boys and how I looked and going to dances.
Lee Rovang was 16 then. She lived in Miller, Iowa.
Oh, we're really going back in time now.
Lee has only memories, good memories of that night. These are two of the only known pictures showing the musicians on stage at the Surf Ballroom. The next day, horrible news.
I hadn't heard about it till I got to school. Some of the girls were crying, and it was sad.
The plane carrying Buddy Holly, the Big Bopper, and Ritchie Valens had crashed.
3 of the nation's top rock and roll singing stars, Ritchie Valens, J.P. the Big Bopper Richardson, and Buddy Holly died today with their pilot in the crash of a chartered plane.
Things don't happen like that. And you don't go see someone one night and the next night they're dead.
I was shocked, as everyone was. Couldn't believe it. Can't be.
50 years ago, before he came to CCO Radio, before Boone and Erickson, Charlie Boone was a rock DJ in Fargo, across the river from Moorhead, Minnesota, the next stop on the musicians' tour.
And we had a lot of people call the station. Is it still going? You gotta do it. I mean, they would want you to do the show. They would want you to continue on.
When they were talking about going on with the show, and I thought, there is no show. The 3 stars are dead.
Boone put out the call for acts to fill in for Holly, Valens, and the Bopper.
If there's some bands that want some exposure, please come over to the Armory and we'll put you on stage.
15-year-old Bobby Valens, his big brother and their buddies, bought matching outfits and headed to the show.
Backstage, I said, what do you call yourself so I can introduce them?
Then everybody stared at the floor. Didn't have a name. And I said, the Shadows.
We call ourselves the Shadows. They called themselves the Shadows.
And the thing takes off, and I'm thinking I'm going to die.
And that was Bobby V and the Shadows.
You're about to become Bobby V. You're about to sell millions and millions of records. You are about to become a national phenomenon. Yet, when you took the stage that night, you had never played before a crowd.
I can't believe I did it. I changed my life. I wouldn't be here. That changed my life forever.
Bobby V wasn't exactly an overnight sensation, but a year later, he was a household name. He was even the subject of a documentary called The Idol, sort of like VH1's Behind the Music, long before VH1 ever existed.
He called it Susie Baby. And somehow he was confident enough to take his savings, go to Minneapolis, and record it.
He had lots of hits, but the one he's best known for, Take Good Care of My Baby.
Take good care of my baby. Please don't ever make her blue.
Bobby V still performs, and when he does, he remembers Buddy Holly.
All my life I've been waiting, and I there'll be no hesitating, no boy.
Turned out to be a wonderful talent, writer. He had it all. He was my Elvis.
This is the spot where his plane went down. It looks like any other cornfield in Iowa, but this one has a monument to the lost rock and rollers. Buddy Holly wasn't just Bobby V's Elvis. He was Elvis to Paul McCartney, who owns the rights to the entire Buddy Holly catalog, and to Mick Jagger, whose first American hit for the Rolling Stones was a cover of a Buddy Holly tune. Buddy Holly may be gone, but you can hear his influence every time you turn on the radio.
Yes, that'll be the day when you make me cry. You say you're gonna leave, you know it's a lie, 'cause that'll be the day when I die.
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame plans to designate the Surf Ballroom as a historic rock and roll landmark tomorrow. There's an all-star tribute concert next Monday night, And I'm going to be at the big show reporting live from the Surf Ballroom on the 10 o'clock news. You can catch that Monday. And for more about the festivities plus video of Bobby V singing now and back then, go to WCCO.com/links.